Something starts, something begins, and something ends. That's the way of the world. So it's time to say goodbye. But before I say goodbye to you, let me tell you the following. I had a dream. In my dream, a huge group of solitary writers gathered in one big room to write a beautiful script of many 60-minute episodes set in Warsaw, aimed at the children audiences, but to be shown at the international markets. And what's more, they were paid for it. This was my dream. Well, I thank you all, and I hope to see you again. Maybe not in Warsaw next time, but somewhere else. We will see. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
I tried to think of, okay, what is the word, the one word I'm taking from this conference? It took me a while to figure it out. I went through several pretty good words that have been uttered here. But I think the key word for me in the end is empowerment. Because for me, the work we do as storytellers, when we do our work well and when we're successful at it, is that we try to empower the audience to think, to understand, to make wise decisions, hopefully even become better persons, if that's possible. Also, if there's a specific purpose for a conference like this, it's also to empower the storytellers, those nerdy people who sit and write all day, sometimes isolated, sometimes with other nerdy people doing the same thing, enjoying the same things. And now we have had 2 days of allowing ourselves to be those people and actually enjoy it. It may not be quite appropriate, but I thought of gay pride, actually. You know, that we can really be ourselves for 2 days, and nobody puts us down for it, and that in itself is wonderful.
Third World Conference of Screenwriters in Warsaw was organized at a time of great change in the global film and television industries. This golden age of television is created by writers. The seasons-long narrative arc allows unprecedented room for the development of multi-dimensional characters and intricate plots. Investment in writers to allow them the creative and financial space to do what they do best is key to the strengthening and continuation of quality television, which appeals to audiences both local and global. Be it resolved that the 30 screenwriter guilds present in Warsaw at the World Conference of Screenwriters #3, representing 56,000 writers, assert the essential role of the creator and his/her singular vision in the production of quality television. We propose the Danish model of one vision, which has respect for creator at its core, as the industry standard to be adopted by broadcasters, digital subscription services, funding agencies, producers, and studios. Writers must be provided with the time and resources to develop their plots and characters without either being rushed to camera or interfered with by executives who so often muddy the creative waters. We also resolve to focus on professionalizing the created by credit in all our negotiations to ensure fair remuneration and respect are attached and to create a global standard for this credit. Be it resolved as well that the 30 screenwriter guilds present in Warsaw at this conference #3 call for the financial means necessary through collective bargaining for all writers to be able to focus on their craft in order to support, encourage, and preserve the professional quality of the stories the audience expects and deserves.
I also want to thank our hosts here in Warsaw, the FSC, the IWG, and of course all of you who have gathered here for the past 2 days. In about 5 minutes or so, when I conclude my remarks, in case any of you are counting, we will turn to each other and say goodbye and head home, across town or a continent or an ocean. We will go back, writers' rooms notwithstanding, to writing alone, because that is how most of us work, in rooms by ourselves. But whenever I speak to members of my own guild, I remind them that we write alone together. Within our own countries or across cultures, we are engaged in an extended written conversation, an endless typewritten braid that, taken together, is a record of what it means to be human and alive in the 21st century. We read, and now more frequently, we watch each other's work. We steal, in the best possible sense of that word, what we love, and our own writing is changed by it. And every once in a while, we gather together in one room to complain about how hard it is to do what we do, or to marvel at how much power we have to move the world. The resolution, the second one, proposed by this conference, and that we adopt today, is an acknowledgement of that power. That scripted television, as it has evolved in form and content, and as it is now delivered on many platforms to virtually every inch of every corner of the world, is as excellent as it has ever been. It is as pervasive and influential as it has ever been. Great television is the work of great writers, and great writers are at their best when they are unhindered, when their work is unfiltered and undiluted. Yes, television is a collaborative project, but no one who ever printed a book or bound a book or drove it by truck to market could ever make that book worth reading or turn a good story great. Only we writers can do that. Here's the complicated truth about television. It is an expensive proposition. And when you ask for enough paint to paint the Sistine Chapel, someone is going to give you a note, probably the guy who paid for the paint or who owns the ceiling. What we ask from those who fund our work is that they develop the wisdom to control their own fear and to acknowledge the power of the singular creative vision. In my own country, we know that no movie written by committee was ever nominated for an Academy Award, and that now in television, the meddling broadcast networks can no longer compete with the more trusting and hands-off cable and online providers when it comes to the quality of the content. What is good for writers is also good for those who pay for our work. We and our singular vision are the very best return on their investment. When we are left to do our jobs, that thing we begin alone in our rooms ends up bringing more people together in shared experience and conversation, teaches us more about ourselves and about each other than any other creative project, perhaps in the history of the world. Alone and then together. That is our theme. Here in Warsaw, together, we are the largest gathering of representatives of all the world's screen, television, and digital media writers. What we claim for ourselves, and for those who are not here but whom we represent, is free expression and fair compensation. What we acknowledge by being here is that what is good for writers anywhere is good for writers everywhere. And though we often compete in the global marketplace, we have each other's backs. What we know is that what we claim to do is entertain, and that matters. What we also do is to hold ourselves, our governments, and each other accountable for our behavior on this planet that we share, and that matters even more. If you will permit me a personal note, it is very moving to me that we should do this in Warsaw, in Poland. This is my first trip here, but a branch of my family left here for America over a century ago, and a branch of my wife's family died here during the war. Being in this place gives me a very intense feeling of connectedness. I can feel the struggle against so many different kinds of evil, and the perseverance, and the triumph, and the powerful works of art, of film, and fiction, and poetry, written as a response, and as a source of hope, and as a hedge against mortality. I am encouraged by the commitment, skill, honesty, and strength in this room. Together, within each of our countries, and together throughout the world, we can preserve both the creative and economic vitality of our work. I and I know all of us from the Writers Guilds of America, West and East, will return home with a renewed commitment to our own fight, knowing that at the same time, you are fighting yours, and that when we can, whenever we can, we will help each other. In the end, of course, there will be silence, but in the beginning, there was only the word. So I ask you to return home yourselves, empowered by our possibilities. And in that vein, I leave you with these few lines from The Joy of Writing by Wisława Szymborska, a national treasure here and one that belongs to all of us. The twinkling of an eye will take as long as I say, and will, if I wish, divide into tiny eternities, full of bullets stopped in mid-flight. Not a thing will ever happen unless I say so. Without my blessing, not a leaf will fall, not a blade of grass will bend beneath that little hoof's full stop. Is there a world where I rule absolutely on fate? A time I bind with chains of signs, and existence become endless at my bidding. The joy of writing, the power of preserving, revenge of a mortal hand. Thank you all, and good afternoon.